and welcome to Knit All the Things. My name is Laurel. I'm also known as West Maven on Instagram, Ravelry, and here. If you're new, this is a space where I talk about all the things I'm knitting, all the things I want to knit, all things yarn, just all the things. And if you're returning, welcome back, Knitting Bestie. I can't wait to catch up with you. In this week's episode, we are going to talk about the Rota Jumper. It's a pattern by Irene Lynn. Cannot wait to share all the details with you. We're also going to talk about the Uptown Tee. If you remember, I was trying to finish this in time for a flock. We'll have to talk about that in a little bit. We're also going to talk about some of the items that I'm going to be casting on this week. So grab your knitting, get cozy, and let's jump right in. Okay, so let's talk about the Rota Jumper. This pattern, again, is by Irene Lynn, and let me stand up so you can get an idea of how amazing, whoop, I almost fell, amazing this sweater is. It has a lot of positive ease, and it is knit in, starting at the back, and you knit to the sleeve, right before you would knit in the round, and then you pick up stitches, knit the shoulder, do some short rows, and then knit the front panel, and then you join in the round. And it has this cool, like meshy patterning and stripes. It's a little bit harder to see on the black, but see there's little stripes with mesh in between. I really, really, really love this. I think this is going, well, right now, this is my favorite sweater. I love how airy it is, so in the evenings I can wear it even though it's summertime, and I definitely think I will be wearing this throughout the year. It was a fast knit. This is worsted weight yarn. I believe the pattern is for Aran weight, but this yarn worked just fine. So the yarn that I used was Illimani Sabri 2. And I'm going to try to show this to you, but it is 18% organic cotton, 15% alpaca, and I just really, really loved it. It ends up being 200 meters or 218 yards per 100 grams. And the construction of the yarn itself is this chainette. You can kind of see here as it's kind of unraveling, but it's a chainette construction. And I don't think I've ever knit with a chainette style yarn. I really enjoyed it a lot, particularly because if you are familiar with knitting with cotton or you're not, sometimes when it's just plied, you're splitting the yarn with your needles when you're knitting, and you can kind of have a harder time. Right now, which I'll talk about in a minute, I'm using linen that's plied, and I've had to be very mindful that I'm not splitting the yarn when I'm knitting it so I don't have weird threads. So having it be a chainette construction was really amazing. I really, really enjoyed knitting with this yarn. I really can't say enough positive things. I made a ranunculus, and I used the Illimani Sabri, so the fingering weight version of this yarn, and again, I loved it. Like, this yarn to me is very, I would say it's affordable. The cost from my local yarn shop was $16 US dollars and 75 cents, and I ended up needing 5 skeins for a size 2, and I feel like, and I lengthened the sleeves. So the one modification that I did do was lengthen the sleeves one more pattern repeat. And you could do 3/4 inch sleeves, and that would have been very cute. But I definitely am a person that likes longer sleeves. And so I wanted that extra pattern repeat. Within her pattern, Irene has written the instructions for if you want your sleeves longer, which I found very helpful, because if you were to do a 3/4 inch sleeve, your decreases might be a little different than if you were decreasing to the cuff. So she does include that in the pattern, which I really appreciated. The pattern itself was very well written. I don't think that I had any issues following any of the instructions. I felt like she did a great job of hand-holding enough to easily follow the pattern. I do think that it would be, I don't know if it would be a great beginner pattern, not because it's difficult, but sometimes I think the beginner patterns are much more just super simple, like no stitch patterns. But I think that if you're used to doing more than just a plain stockinette, it would be fine. It was, again, very well written, very easy to understand. I really enjoyed her style of pattern writing. Again, the reason I had kind of come across this pattern and wanted to knit it was because several podcasters have been making the tank top. So I believe it's actually called just the Rota top, not tank top. And their versions were beautiful, and I really, really wanted to make it, but I was very unsure how I felt about a tank top. I've struggled lately with knitting things that I'm trying to like follow a trend rather than follow what I would actually wear. And so at the beginning of this year, I had tried to kind of make not a promise to myself, but try to be more mindful of only knitting things that I knew for sure I would wear. So what this meant was I've knit some really wildly colored sweaters, and although I do like them and I will wear them on occasion, what do I feel most comfortable in? Generally dark colors, mostly black. And so this year I have knit a lot of things. I've knit the Alpine Bloom in a black and tan. I've knit a Miserina in a black or like a very dark gray and spin cycle yarn. I knit a black ranunculus. I've knit a black, now this Rota Jumper. And to be honest, I'm excited to grab those pieces and wear them because that is what I would buy in a store. If I saw any of these sweaters hanging up, I would be very excited to purchase them. And so that is kind of what I'm trying to do as far as leading myself to knitting things that I'm definitely going to wear, because it, I will admit, can get tedious just only using a dark colored yarn. But sprinkling in other projects in between, I think really is kind of bringing me more joy, because one, I want to knit to wear something, but I also want to knit to have fun. So some of the things that I've been doing for that is I'm planning some knits for my kids that I'm going to, that'll be more colorful, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So for the Rota Jumper, I think this took me about a solid 2 weeks to complete. I do think that I actually would have finished it faster, but there were some days that I didn't knit that much or hardly at all. There was a couple of times where at one point, and it's in the front, and I noticed it on the last podcast, but I think once it blocked, it was much better. But there was one part where I had dropped a stitch and it was right in this like triangle area, and I spent a very long time trying to fix it without tinking back or unknitting my work and then re-knitting it. And to be honest, it probably would have just been faster had I just like pulled out the needles and then re-put them in and then started knitting, rather than like fussing with trying to like fix it manually. I often learn these lessons after an hour or more of frustration. So next time, I think one thing I definitely learned was just not to like it does teach you something. So if you have a mistake that you found and you're trying to just drop down and fix it, it certainly teaches you how a stitch and how a fabric is made. And it gives you kind of a deeper knowledge of how it all kind of comes together when you are having to try to fix it, rather than just pulling out your needle and going below it and then re-knitting. But for me, sometimes I don't need that knowledge. I just want to get it done. So it would have definitely just been faster to like start from below the problem and knit back up. But it is what it is. I really love it. I think I will definitely be wearing this for a really long time because it is newer. I don't know how it's going to wear, but from what I can tell, it's going to be a very sturdy, well wearing yarn. I wore this on day 2 of Flock Fiber Festival. I made an entire video on Flock Fiber Festival, which I will link below, and I'll pop in the little what it looks like so you can easily find it if you want to watch it later. But I really enjoyed wearing this because of the holes in the fabric. I felt like it was cool. The day that I wore it was the cooler of the 2 days that I attended the event, and so I wasn't having to necessarily worry about being overly heated. It was overcast and even rained a little bit in the morning, and so it was definitely not too hot, but it was very pleasant. I really, really enjoyed this item as something to wear, and I know that I will wear it all the time. I do think that I made it a little bit, I followed the pattern, I didn't lengthen it. And the reason I didn't lengthen it was because I was afraid that it would be too long given the boxy fit of the sweater. I think it would then start to look like too big rather than oversized. So I do think that there's a possibility if I were to make it again, I think I could even go down one more size and make the body longer, and then I would probably need to make the sleeves longer because they would be not, because of the drop sleeve construction, it would be shorter on me if I made the body shorter. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense. But I think that's kind of how I would. The only thing that I might do differently, I actually do like the fit a lot, but I could imagine wearing it again in a bright color and maybe just a little bit more form-fitting and longer. So I would change up a lot if I were to reknit it, but not because I don't love this, just so that I would have something that was similar but different. Okay, so as soon as I finished last podcast episode, not the bonus, but the last episode, it was posted, I believe, on a Monday, and then I went to Flock on Friday, and for some wild reason, I thought I could knit a tee in sport weight, fingering weight, sport weight, before Flock. Like, what was I thinking? Why didn't someone comment like, hello, you're not Superwoman, there's not a chance you're gonna finish that? I was hopeful because, so I am working on the Uptown Tee by Tori Yu. It is modified though, so I will pop in a photo of her original picture of her design, just so you can see the difference. But essentially, designed by so-and-so, who also has a podcast on YouTube, and I'll link her below. She ended up knitting one where she took the lace pattern that was originally on the sleeves and she made it all over. So she did stripes, which I exactly copied. So I'm gonna also post her picture because I think it's gonna be a little easier to see in the white, and because this isn't done and I can't try it on for you, it's a little hard to tell. But I did all of the lace stripes. So right now I am working on a stockinette section, and then I think this lace section, it'll be one more lace section and then just the tiniest finishing for the bottom of the tee. And then for the sleeves, I'm going to add one more lace section and then finish it off. So it is coming along. I don't think it's going to take too long. The stockinette sections are super quick. Last night I knit this, like I just started on the stockinette section and got quite a bit done. But There's no chance I would have finished it in time for flock. Like, what was I thinking? Maybe I thought I didn't have kids or responsibilities or the need for sleep. I don't know. Like, what was I thinking? But there's no chance I could have done it. Maybe also, like, had I not driven myself, had I taken a train or flown up to flock, then maybe, I don't know. But I don't, like, it's not possible. But I really am enjoying this knit. It's been fairly quick, although not, I mean, I have had not as much time in the last 2 weeks as I normally have to knit, partially because of the trip. Like, going to a fiber festival does not necessarily mean you're going to knit a lot while around yarn. Also, I spent a good amount of time on the bonus video, and so that also is not knitting time, it's video time. So for the amount of time I have spent knitting this garment, I do feel like it's been really quick. It is a raglan construction. You cast on stitches and then you work short rows for the back of the garment, and then it's just a regular raglan, and it's really cute. I chose to use Antigone yarn. This is by dererum natura, and I am on my second ball of yarn. I think I'm gonna end up using, like, I don't know, probably 2.5 or so, I'm guessing, skeins is my guess, because this, I don't know, I'm guessing I'm gonna need like 2.5, which is not bad for a tee. It helps with the big lace sections because you're getting a lot of length, I guess, with not a lot of yarn. I'm definitely going to be wearing a black tank top under this. Shocking, I know, more black things. But I definitely will be wearing something underneath of it. I was a little concerned yesterday, so I didn't take this into consideration, but I guess seeing Ashley's look just fine, I assumed it would be fine. But when you're knitting the lace section, part of me is thinking I should have maybe gone down a needle size, just so, like, I don't know if you can see here as well, but there's definitely like more stretch in the lace section. Like, I'm hoping it'll just stretch down and not be like a weird bulgy situation happening. So being linen is going to want to be more flowy, and so I think it will be fine, but in hindsight, we'll see how it turns out. But I'm kind of thinking I should have gone down a needle size for the lace. But it is what it is, and we're not changing it, so there it is. It is going to fit me oversized. I knit a size, I'm gonna have to look it up. I'll put a little note, but I think I knit a size larger than what was suggested for my size because I was afraid that the way her tee fits, it looks pretty fitted in the arm. And then she wears hers with just very little positive ease. And if you've been watching this channel for any time, I like oversized. And I'm very afraid of anything ever being too tight. Like, that is my worst nightmare. I would rather wear something that's a little big than anything that's tight on me. It would really bum me out. So I went for, I think, a little bit bigger size. I don't know that that was necessary, but I think it will look fine. So my goal is to finish this up by the next podcast, but I will tell you that I have a lot of things that I want to cast on, and I'm really trying to be good about just finishing it, but you never know. There could be a cast on and then this will have to just sit aside and look sad. But it is hot still, and while it is still hot, I do want to like get things that are for hot weather finished. I can say that I don't think I'm casting on anything else this year for warm weather. I think this is my last warm weather knit, and then we're moving into the fall just because it is going to, like, by the time I finish anything else, it's going to be cooler. So anyway, this is my Uptown Tee, a pattern by Tori Yu. The yarn, the Antigone by dererum natura, just like my last issue with linen yarn, is that it is just a mess in your bag. And I guess that's just how it is. Like, I've tried putting it in other bags. This particular ball, I'm using it from the outside, and I will pull something out. As you can see, I've got it like kind of wrapped up. But anytime that I grab the ball out of my bag, like a bunch of the, like, whatever's been wrapped just slides off. And then it's messy. Linen yarn is messy to knit with. And then, as I had mentioned with this sweater, it's not too bad, but you do have to be a little bit careful splitting the plies in this one. I will say this yarn has a really, really nice sheen to it. I'm in love with the color. This color, I believe, is called Granite, and it is a newer color for them. I also have the color Marsala, and I still think I'm going to use that to make a White Mountains sweater, but for now, this is what I have, and I'm really, really enjoying it a lot. I think that I do have this one spot where I need to fix, where I had to do this with my Alpine Bloom, but I have to, like, very carefully weave in this end because it's like right on the front in a weird spot. And had I thought about it probably further, I would have tried to put the splice like under an armpit or somewhere a little less noticeable, but I think I'm confident that I can make that look nice-ish, I'm hoping. So that is what I have for knitting. That's all I've been knitting on this week. I did knit on my husband's sock. I brought it with me, but I just, like, when I was like in line, I was just so excited to like just chat with people and enjoy other makers' company that I just kind of got sidetracked and did not do a lot of knitting. I typically, like, I can knit and talk to someone okay, but sometimes I would just rather give them my, like, put my hands away and give them some attention. So there's a lot that I want to cast on this week or in the next couple of weeks. Some of them are big projects, some of them are small projects, but let's talk about them. So one of the things that I really do want to like hurry and get done is the beginner rabbit pattern by Claire Garland. I finished a Little Sisters romper for my friend who is like any day now going to have a baby. So I would like to get the bunny done so I can give her both things for her gift. And I do believe that I'm going to knit the bunny in the same yarn as the romper and hold something with it. I'm not sure what. I think I have a gray surrey or even a pink. I haven't decided. I don't know what the baby's gender is, not that it matters, but I, for some reason, think it's a girl. And so I kind of want to do pink, but I don't think it matters. But anyway, I don't know what I'm going to hold with that yarn yet, but I am going to hopefully cast that on. I really do need to do it soon. Like, I should do it today. I need to do it soon. I know it's going to take me a couple of days to do. I think the last time I made one, it took like 2 days. And it's a quick project, but I just need to like do it instead of selfish knitting, I guess. Okay, the other item that is on the list to be cast on is a sweater for my son. I was going to make him a sweater that he can wear to school, so it's going to be navy blue. And with that, I had been looking. I looked at Flock Fiber Festival for a navy blue yarn, and I ended up not buying any for a couple of reasons. One, at Flock, there's sales tax, and some of the yarn that I did see there I could easily get in Oregon. So it didn't make a lot of sense just to pay more to buy it there. The other thing was I had been looking online and I did find a yarn that I ordered and I think is going to be amazing for his sweater. It is by Valley Yarns and I purchased it through yarn.com or webs, and it is a merino silk yak. He is very sensitive to yarns that are in any way scratchy, like it needs to be super soft. And so I'm hoping that this will work for him. He is going to wear a collared shirt underneath of it or a shirt underneath of it, so I think it will be fine. But I know that it will be a nice warm sweater that he can run around and wear in lieu of a coat or with a coat when it gets really cold. So I asked him if he wanted the Moby sweater by Petite Knit, the Storm sweater by Petite Knit, or I had made him a Miniwoodwardia by Lydia Gluck. I believe I'm saying her name correctly. Yep, by Lydia Gluck. And it is this sweater that is in mini palm. So I had tested this sweater and so was gifted this book, but I had made one for him and then one for my youngest son. And I had just asked him, like, because he wasn't really excited about the textured sweater or the cabled sweater. And so I had said, do you want me to make the same sweater? And he was thinking about it. And then he came to me and was like, Mom, I want one that's the same as this other one that I had made him. So that's what I'm going to make him. It's a very easy pattern. It knits really quickly. I'm really excited to try this yarn because I haven't used Valley Yarns before, and I know that it's an inexpensive yarn and pretty widely available. I believe the yarn cost, because it was on sale when I purchased it, was $6.99 a ball for 50 grams. So, and it's a DK weight. I think it's like 100 yards or something like that. 100 yards or meters. It's in that range, but it's a DK weight, and I'm really excited to try it. I think it's going to be really like lovely to knit with, and it's going to have that nice soft touch, but also be just real wearable with the silk. So I'm excited to see how the yarn is, and hopefully it'll be here in the next day or so and I can cast it on, because I am excited to get that started and get ready for his school. Okay, so the other thing that I was thinking I would cast on very soon, and I think I'm gonna wait until the end of August and do a very casual knit along. So if you're interested in knitting this, please knit along with me. But I'm going to knit the Lana Vest. This is a pattern by Irene Lynn. And I am going to use Stash for this. So prepare yourself, because this is a very bright color. It is a sample color from Pearl Soho. They did like a sample color sale or something. Like, I wish I could remember all the details to it, but essentially they had like random skeins of like test colors or whatever. So this was going to be yarn that is typically found in their 9-note bundle, and it is this bright. It is very bright. And I think I'm gonna make a Lana Vest. I think it's going to be kind of like a holiday-y sweater or something like that. It is so bright. Again, typically I would knit black. I don't think the cables and stuff would show up as much. And this is a fun color, and the yarn is so soft that I have enough of it to make this, that I just wanted to make. I've been wanting to knit it. So who knows, maybe I'll make it and be like, this was amazing, I'll wear it once and then gift it. I don't know. But It's a very bright color. Let me find out the details really quickly. Okay, so the details on the yarn are 50 gram skeins, 100 yards, and it's 80% extra fine merino and 20% baby alpaca. So it is really soft and really nice. It has a really like nice twist. And it is bright, but I think it'll be fun. And I actually think it won't be a terrible color on me. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I think it'll be okay. But yeah, it'll just be something different and fun. So I'm going to cast on a Lana Vest. I think I might just swatch for it in preparation. But again, I think I'm going to wait. I have a sweet friend, Lena, who was going to knit it with me. And you, if you want. So let me know. Comment below. And yeah, so I think we're going to cast on towards the end of August. And maybe once I can think of more details, I will let you know. But this is a bright yarn. I'm excited. The pattern is so pretty. It's a cabled vest, and I, again, will pop in pictures. So that will be future, but probably swatching. The next yarn that I'm going to, I believe I'll at least swatch, if not start, is the Champagne Cardigan. It is a pattern by Petite Knit, and I have not ever knit a cardigan. This will be my first ever cardigan. I have yarn for another couple of cardigan jacket situations, but I just haven't knit them, partially because in the past, especially, my wrists got so fatigued from purling. I do know how to do a Norwegian purl, and I probably for this project will try to do that predominantly, but we'll see how it goes. So it is a really pretty raglan style cardigan. I'm definitely gonna do buttons, I just don't know which ones. I saw some purple buttons at La Mercerie that would like blend well with this, but it might be fun to do a pop of color of some kind on the buttons. But the yarn that I'm gonna use is Noro Madara. I purchased this in Seattle, not at the festival, but I talk a little bit more about the yarn in that video. But it is a yarn that has 60% wool, 30% silk, and 10% alpaca. It's a really soft feeling yarn. It has these really cool speckles in it. I really think that it's going to be super fun to knit. The Noro that I knit with earlier this year, I really enjoyed. I think it's going to be really fun. And I think for that cardigan, it'll be really cool. And then I'm going to hold this mohair with it, which is why I'm going to swatch, because the pattern is for a worsted weight yarn, and this is worsted weight, and adding a mohair may add maybe more bulk than I need, and I'll have to size down on the size depending on how my gauge turns out. So although sometimes I like to be a rebel with swatching on these two particular projects, I think I'm going to have to swatch because I have enough yarn for the Lana Vest, but not like a ton extra. So I really don't want to be making a ton of mistakes, and I want to make sure that it's a size that I'm going to like. And then for the Champagne Cardigan, because I think my gauge is going to be different than the pattern, I need to figure that out so I can pick the correct size for myself. So I do like to be a rebel as far as swatching goes. A lot of times I like to use my garment as the swatch because, as we all know, I don't mind ripping something out, but I don't want to start this project and have it be like worlds apart. I really do feel like I need to swatch and figure out how to proceed with it. I do think this is going to be next on my needles, and I'm trying to see if I should finish the Uptown Tee and then reward myself with this cast on, or if I can give myself permission to at least swatch and be very tempted to cast it on, because I do think with the weight of this sweater And I just know it being a cardigan, it's going to be something I'm going to wear all the time. And I don't have any cardigans in my wardrobe. And so I know that it's just something that's going to be very wearable and that I'll enjoy. The reason I chose this wild color, because I just went into detail on how much I love black yarn, was because I do like to wear a lot of black. And so I thought that this would look super cute over all the black things that I have. Yeah, that warms my heart. Okay, so yeah, I absolutely love this yarn. I'm really excited to cast it on. I'm so excited for the cardigan. I think it will be something I will wear all the time. And again, because of all the little colors in it, I do think I can wear it with a lot of things and it'll look really nice over black. And I picked this. I was gonna almost hold a gray with this, which it's hard. They actually look a lot better in person than I think they're coming over. This is brightening up because of the silk, but I'm hoping this will like pull some interesting colors out of this. I'm really excited to see what the swatch is gonna do, because in person, this Madara does have quite a bit of light. It's just not really showing up excellently on the camera. And I think, I do think it will look nice. Trust me on this. Just like the ranunculus, the yellow ranunculus was a very gold and then a very yellowy green mohair. Sometimes I think that kind of bigger difference in mohair actually lends to a more complex looking fabric, and I think it looks amazing. So we'll see. I'm really excited for this. And this particular yarn is very, very light. So I'm thinking the cardigan is gonna end up kind of quite airy, I'm hoping. I do think for the cardigan, I will choose a size that does give considerable positive ease, because I don't, one, my gauge will be different, but I also don't want it to be too tight because I do want it to accommodate garments underneath. So that is my next cast on, I'm pretty sure, for sure. Okay, so I have a little story for you and then we're done. So when I went to Flock Fiber Festival, I have a lot of detail on a lot of things in that video, but one thing that I left out that I thought was a little bit funny that I would share with you was my Airbnb snafu. So I booked this Airbnb as soon as I decided I was going, and I bought my ticket. I did it right away because I wanted something that was going to be private, that was just a cute place. I had wanted the possibility of filming, which I decided not to do there, and just a nice spot. And this place had a ton of positive reviews. And by the way, this is a positive review, but it's a funny story. So I checked in, got all my stuff situated, went and got food and came back, had the air conditioning on, was talking to my friend, and all of a sudden the air conditioning shut off. And because it was the hot day there, I was like, uh-oh, this is like, it might be uncomfortable overnight if I don't have some air going. So I messaged, first I realized there was a remote to the air conditioner like next to it. So I grabbed the remote and I pushed the button to like turn it on, and there's a light in the room that comes on instead. And I'm like, what is going on? And I hopefully have a picture that I can post here, but this random light comes on. I'm like, well, that's no good. And the air conditioning is not turning on. There's also like a marked thing that says AC, like plug. So I unplugged it and replugged it back in. That's not working. I eventually get a hold of them and they tell me I need to go flip a switch in the breaker that's outside of this place. And so I do that and everything works and is fine. But I thought it was so hilarious because I was like, are they messing with me right now? Like, why is this clear AC, like Honeywell AC remote turning on this light, and I also unplugged the light and it had a battery and so it still kept turning on. I was like, what is happening? Anyway, it all got fixed, but it was a little bit of I felt like I was being pranked a little bit at the Airbnb, although I was not. It was very cozy. It was exactly what I needed. It was in a quiet little area. I felt safe. My car and everything had a parking spot, which was kind of important to me. So yeah, it all worked out, but it was a little bit humorous because I just, like, I don't know if you can imagine like trying to turn something on and then having something else way randomly that's unplugged from the wall still turning on. Okay, so that is all I have for this week. I absolutely enjoyed our time together. If you haven't seen the Flock Fiber Festival video, please go watch that. It's really fun to see all the booths. If we are not yet knitting besties, make sure to hit the subscribe button below and like this video. It tells YouTube that other fiber enthusiasts like yourself enjoy this type of content. Until 2 weeks from now, I'll see you soon. Happy knitting. Bye.